I'd like to call the Londonderry Selectboard meeting of Monday, August 5th, 2024 to order. Additions or deletions to the agenda? We have one deletion. It's 11A, consider proposal to relocate North Village businesses to higher ground outside a flood hazard area. The person who requested this has found out that the land she was looking at was not for sale and has requested to take it off.
Okay,
Do I have a motion to do that?
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 3, minutes approval, meetings of 7:15 and 7:31, 2024.
I handed out the meeting minutes of the 31st earlier today. I sent it out. It's just a couple of pages on the way.
I move to approve the minutes of the select board meeting of July 15th, 2024 and July 31st, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 4 is select board pay orders.
I move to approve the pay orders for payroll and accounts payable.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Item 5 is announcements and correspondence.
I have a couple of items. Road crew candidate Josh Vincent, who was offered the position back to June 4th, has decided not to accept the town's offer. I just wanted to make, because it was in the minutes, we wanted to clarify that. The BDCC was going to be using the town hall, rental of the town hall on the 8th. This week has decided not to use the building, which is just fine. We received notice that the deadline for the hazard mitigation program pre-applications has been changed from August 16th to August 30th. So there are still a couple that, one that needs to be done, and then at the next meeting we'll have someone else interested in a building elevation.
Can you start that sentence again?
Sure.
Yep.
There's only one application that still needs to be filed. That was actually for the plat project. We finally received some dollar figures for the project cost while I was on vacation, so I'll take care of that in the next couple of days. But the deadline's the 30th, so there's no rush. And we have another potential elevation projects that will be coming to the board for discussion at the next meeting. Excuse my coughing. On the town office renovation project, the asbestos removal is scheduled for to begin on the 19th. As far as I know, that's the original date that we were given. And then the real renovation work will begin on the week of September 3rd. So between now and Labor Day, we're going to have to be packing up boxes, finding a place to put things, which we're assuming will be the town hall for the most part. There's very likely going to be the need for a dumpster. There's probably plenty of stuff, particularly downstairs, that can go. So we've got our work cut out for us for the next few weeks. Sorry about that. I'm working out with town office staff on a rental office trailer to ensure continuity of service, particularly for the town clerk's office, because they'll need access to the vault. So we'll have some kind of office trailer out front. I've got some leads from our contractor, and Tina, I printed out a bunch, and Tina and I are going to go over them tomorrow just to look them through.
So the vault stays in place?
Yep.
It's just that the access is limited or constrained?
Yeah, I mean, this whole area here is going to be out of service.
Yep.
And we have talked to them about doing partitioning off through plastic, the vault and that one door over there, so people can get in and out. But staff will have to be in a trailer out front. So we're looking at different configurations.
Meetings, our regular meetings will be
Town hall.
at the town hall.
Yeah. And Tom was there for us, so the the installation of the dehumidifier unit. And I understand it wasn't put in as well as we'd like it, so we'll continue to work on that. So, and then there's some mold.
And we didn't get it in quite in time, it seems.
Yeah, so there's some new mold, and we're gonna have to remediate that. So we have someone that we've worked with in the past, and it's hopefully it'll work out.
The dehumidifier is functioning now, though?
Yeah. It was, they forgot to tell the technician to drill a hole, put it outside. So I've been emptying a bucket for the last 2 weeks every day.
So beginning of September, the board meetings will be over there. So at the next select board meeting, the board will have to kind of announce that.
Name
So
that.
it's a record. Correspondence in the board's packet, unless you have
Does
something you need
everything has to be removed from the basement?
to. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the basement is they're just gonna be demolished.
I got stuff down
And we also have a couple big safes that we need to get rid of.
Yeah, they are gonna be opening up the door frame over there in that area, so we'll be able to remove those. So it's probably something we should start advertising.
I wonder if we can put them on that auction site.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Auctions International.
Liam has a question.
I'm not sure how quickly you get that remediation in there. I was just setting up a Music Monday. The basement's pretty foul, and if you're going to have to host yourselves over there for bathroom access, it's right.
Yeah, well, it was pretty bad before. I'm not sure it's pretty bad now.
It's the whole ceiling.
Yeah.
Just the corner.
Oh dear.
The whole room?
Yeah. Except for that one corner where the dehumidifier is.
Yeah, it was growing.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry. In meeting correspondence, there's a letter from Larry Gubb posing a number of questions about community-wide communication and also matters revolving around the Planning Commission. We have a letter from Chad Stoddard regarding the Planning Commission appointment process. And lastly, we have a letter from Betty Sheldon expressing concern about excess lighting at the Heritage Family Credit Union. And I know that Will is on top of that and wrote a letter back.
So we'll take care of that.
He wrote, there's a letter he sent back, and he's trying to do a little reconnaissance on it. That's all.
Moving on to item 6, visitors and concerned citizens. 6A is Wyndham Regional Commission, initial conceptual project selection for hazard mitigation grant program applications through the River Project.
Yeah, thanks. So myself, I'm Melissa Sabato, I'm with the Wyndham Regional Commission, and then I have Megan Arpino here with Stone Environmental. So we've been working with the town on the River Project, which is a project aimed at eventually having grant applications submitted for the hazard mitigation grant program, and the engineering and planning support going into those applications is what this project gives the town. And so we had a meeting on July 18th. That was the most recent public meeting, and it was held here in Londonderry in this room. And this project covers Londonderry, Weston, and Jamaica. So it was a meeting for all 3 towns, and we gathered feedback from the public. We've met prior with the town on multiple occasions, visited some sites to look at projects, and we had a list of projects that came out of that data gathering phase, and Megan and her team did a lot of background data collections, of which she can get into more, but we have come up with, we've vetted the list with in our internally as well as with Vermont Emergency Management, and have narrowed down the list to a few projects that we have a recommendation to the town to advance. And this does take into consideration what Shane shared with us as far as the project list that I believe you all may have discussed at another meeting. So that input was also a part of our considerations. And at this point in the river project, we are gathering the initial selection for the projects that we want to move forward with conceptual design and engineering support with Stone and their team. And so Megan can get into the specific projects, but the sheet that you have in front of you discusses those briefly. So I'll turn it over to Megan now to get into the details.
And I do have a few more copies of the sheets, so if anyone does need one right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Alyssa gave a really good summary of what we've been doing so far. So Stone's team includes Stone, so myself and several engineers at Stone, and then we're also working with Stevens and Associates and Streamworks on this project. So our whole team got together and went through, as Alyssa mentioned, the projects that came through during the public brainstorm, and also some ideas that came out of reviewing existing data for the town and also site visits. And then we were vetting projects based on their feasibility, their eligibility, and potential competitiveness for this round of hazard mitigation grant program funding, and then potential benefits and cost effectiveness. So that's how we came up with the list in front of you all. And then overall, we would like our goals to select a few to move forward towards conceptual design, where we'll actually do some field data collection, maybe some preliminary modeling to help flesh out how feasible these projects are and get better cost estimates to the projects. It's possible in that phase that we might learn something that tells us the project does not make sense. So not all projects that go to conceptual might go through to the full hazard mitigation grant program application. And then I can't remember if you mentioned it. So we're doing this project with Weston and Jamaica also. And so the projects we select today will be added to a list that includes projects from those towns. And once we know the entire list, we'll have a better understanding of how many we can fund the full application development of, since we're kind of have limited pot of money to support the development of those designs.
So basically, I mean, all three towns, all of those projects do matter. It's not just, what each town wants to do necessarily, but hopefully we can support what you want to do. But it's basically selecting between 1 and 3 projects ideally, as what
Per
would,
town?
per town, as what would reasonably be feasible for the capacity and the funding to support. And the other thing is that, so their team will do the conceptual design and engineering work, and then we will bring the information back to you all for final selection eventually, and that'll come in the next however month or so, or 2 months. And that, after you make the final selection, is when that will be the final selection on what actually moves forward with application development. So right now, there's the conceptual selection is, yes, these are what we ideally want to move forward, and devote time and resources to doing survey work and field work and continuing to do this Stone team. That's what is being selected tonight. But in what they do in that conceptual phase, it may come out that something isn't going to work out for a final application, which is why the final application selection will happen after we have more data gathered.
And so
I was just gonna say, would each of the towns be made aware of the projects for Londonderry, at what point would we learn about Weston and Jamaica's choices for their projects?
Well, we're meeting we're meeting with Weston and Jamaica next week, the select boards, and so at these meetings is when they're making the conceptual selection.
So it could probably be before the final selection.
Yeah,
All of the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
scope of things
Yes,
would be.
yeah, the initial selections are just a couple weeks, and then they'll move into the standard phase, and then after that we'll come back. So you'll know in the next couple weeks, I would
That sounds
assume,
good.
what, you know, what's in the select board minutes for their choices probably.
Right, okay.
Tom, I know you had approached this early on as thinking about the sort of hydrology of those three towns. Are you satisfied that this is big enough scope? This seems very granular to me, but maybe that's all you can manage with the kinds of grant funding that's kind of teed up for this. But tell me about your opinion on that.
I'd say, you're probably right, this is gonna be limited, but what we've been looking at for flood elevation and everything, that's gonna be 10, 20 years. That's not something that's gonna be done tomorrow, and we don't know where we're gonna get the funding.
Yeah.
That's just something we gotta plan, and then we have a plan, and once funding comes, we can go for the funding.
Quick question. Are we still subject here to that August 30th deadline?
Not for the river projects, but
No.
any projects not going through river, yes, get those pre-apps.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's critical that this board
Yeah,
makes a
if you
decision on
have
where we're gonna go.
Buyouts, those types of things, those are that August 30th, yeah.
So, at least 3 years ago, so it was post Tropical Storm Irene, the Main Street town plan was done, and that was when they engaged Stevens and Associates to do a lot of blue sky work, which was very helpful, I think. So how do we integrate that document, which has basically been sitting, I think, on a shelf gathering dust? We spent $23,000+ to do that. And there were some great ideas back then. Now granted, rivers have changed and dynamics have changed and whatever, but a lot of that work was done that I think could be revisited and in some way or another incorporated. But I'm also concerned that this is so granular, these projects are so granular. It's a culvert here, it's a thing there, that what we were thinking about, Main Street redesign work over there with that, is going to get, again, sort of left literally on the sidelines.
Yeah, so one aspect to remember with rivers is that we're looking for that hazard mitigation grant program funding. So that's kind of driving what types of projects we can look at. We did talk about the master plan with Stevens and Associates and sort of talking through it, given the timeline with this application. We were thinking of focusing on projects that are cost effective in lowering flood elevations in some of those easier ways, like the floodplain reconnection, lumping culverts into one project, so you have maybe a more competitive project where you can meet that
These
benefit
seem pretty
cost.
discrete. Each of these culvert projects seem singular, right?
Yeah, so we didn't have a ton of culverts, but we combined the Barker and Reinhardt culvert project into
Yeah.
one. And so that was something we were trying to look at through the list that was provided with us in the brainstorm. We had the integrating ideas from the master plan on the
Yeah,
charts during the brainstorm, and there were like a few things related to that, and so we will share the other comments. I think related to funding, I don't know, like the idea of pulling
Yeah.
together.
I mean, as far as the North Village plan that Stevens and Associates did,
Yeah.
I think, we definitely had the conversation about, what can we do to advance, like, a relocation of the North Village. That was talked about, as that was discussed in the Stevens and Associates plan.
Or it was
Well, there were
new,
at least
building
2 or
of a
3
new
options that were all
area.
different choices. I'm not sure we
Yeah,
got it.
I think it really focused on like elevating some of the businesses and then building some new ones.
Mm-hmm.
So it was some new structures, maybe across from the marketplace.
They're focused on elevating the whole town, which is
Yeah.
never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's
not
alternatives.
real.
Sounds like it's gonna happen piecemeal now, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the capacity and the time limitations of the funding source that we can't go into something so huge in one big project. It will have to be done, if it's relying on FEMA, likely in a piecemeal way. At least, unless it's a stretch of buyouts, that kind of thing would go forward in one, and like a floodplain project where the buyouts were. That's the kind of thing that you could go forward with.
And again, I'm not advocating a particular scenario that Stevens came up with. I'm just saying this was a huge amount of work and some great ideas that we shouldn't just leave sitting on a shelf. So
Yeah,
I hear where you're coming from.
it
relative to
wasn't
the funding
forgotten about in
sources.
the consideration, but I think that when it came down to what are the projects we can do to make a difference in terms of flood mitigation, and with this funding source at this time, this is what came out of it. Yes, you're right, it is pretty discrete projects, but some of this were things that the town really wants or has wanted for a long time. So we were able to think about how we can make progress on some of those long-standing desires.
The Rivers project is also competing with other communities for the $90 million statewide, correct?
It is, however, this is advanced assistance money that funds this river project, so it's FEMA money paying for this stage of it too.
So it's not part of the 90 million, or it is?
I don't think the advanced assistance money is part of the 90 million, maybe, but it doesn't really matter. It's basically, other projects that aren't part of the river project are not getting advanced assistance money. So, I mean, it's not a guarantee
less
that your
developed
project, it's not a
engineering
guarantee that
standpoint.
you would get awarded. However, the goal of advanced assistance money is to develop project applications, so.
I understand that, and that's a separate pot of money that's dealing with that, but once those projects are developed, once they go into the application process,
Theoretically,
are they all,
yes.
we're all competing for that same
Yeah,
$90 million?
theoretically, yeah. Yeah, so that's why we want to make sure that the applications are competitive. And that's why grouping things and making larger scale projects, which some of these are, is going to be more competitive than a one-off culvert here and there.
And just to be realistic, we're not looking at 90 million, we're looking at probably 60 to 30.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Because
Statewide.
the wastewater treatment plants, the state said are getting priority, and I forget what town it is, but it's about $30 million for the one.
And buyouts
So
also get
we're
priority.
not looking at that much money, to be honest,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I have some comments on some of these.
Yeah.
We're gonna whittle it down to 3, right?
So in our packet too, we have our priority list. It's on page 682.
That
Right
was
before the
from
river project
July
starts.
15, right?
Right.
17.
Which page?
It's no page number.
Sorry
It's
about
right
that.
after the minutes and
They
right
did have
before.
page numbers.
It's right after the minutes.
Sorry about that.
Is it before? Yeah, it's right before this.
Yeah.
PowerPoint.
Anyway, we're, Barker and Reinhardt culvert, those are a system in that they're, only a few hundred feet away from one another. The Reinhardt Road culvert, we have put that in and it's working its way through the system as a PA project.
Okay.
And speaking with Bill Carnes today, we want to have a sit down with FEMA this week to make sure that it's still in that process. Because if we can get them, FEMA to pay 100% of it, that would be a really good thing.
So you said Reinhardt is PA, what
Yes.
about Barker?
Barker was not dislodged, the culvert itself, so it's not a PA grant. It would only be mitigation.
And there was no H&H study done ahead of time for that. We've had an H&H study done for some years for Reinhardt Road.
Is there any chance we could, if Reinhardt Road goes forward, we could throw another culvert in there? Could be Barker and Windy Rise? Since they're both needed.
like throw away?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just take Reinhardt Road out.
Right, if one comes out, which one would they put in?
Yeah, if Reinhardt's getting PA, take it out
And do Barker,
and
Windy
try
Rise.
with Windy. Some of our concerns with Windy were that since there's such, I think there is access from both
Yeah.
sides, that it might not meet that BC benefit cost
Urgency.
analysis.
Well, Barker
threshold.
Road, there'd be access to both sides too, unfortunately for that one.
Yeah.
But it
so
does empty
Ryan Hart
into
would've thrown it
It
over.
empties into a culvert that's a state culvert that they're gonna have to replace. They are planning on replacing. It's a
Yeah.
really deep one, right at Route 100. So it is part of a system there.
You said Windy Rise, is that the state school?
Yeah, well, no,
No, that's.
No, that would be on
It's
one.
within of a state
Oh,
culvert
okay.
that needs replacing
Right.
desperately.
It's in the
It was
works.
not, but it was not damaged during the storm.
Yeah.
It has pre-existing damage, so I don't know if that, to what degree that matters, but.
But Barker Road would be washed out if we replace Reinhardt Road only. Barker Road will not survive the next
Right,
round.
it's downstream.
We can evaluate Barker by itself and Barker with Windy.
Or if we could throw another culvert with it
Interchangeable.
to work, I don't know.
And the third one down says Cobble Hill Road, it's Cobble Ridge Road, Bridge. We're not talking about removal of that bridge, we were talking about, let me finish, we were talking about creating an alternate route into that neighborhood and leaving the bridge, not touching it really.
Yeah, so that was an idea that VEM supported, was the removal of, well, I couldn't say supported, but we discussed with VEM is to, the idea of creating the alternate route and then without needing that bridge anymore, it could be removed to remove the constriction from the channel.
Right, but
Until it
will be,
happens.
it'll be used more often than this alternate route.
The alternate route
Until it
will
goes.
mostly be used for if the bridge is destroyed again.
Right, and, yeah, it only costs us $110,000 to fix it,
How,
90% of which we'll get from the state and FEMA, so we don't want to bond.
is the alternate route being pursued through MTAP?
We tried that.
No, we got an email from Chris Campany 3-4 months ago indicating that we would not get funding for that. The whole list of MTAP projects came out, I think all of which were rejected.
So the reason that this one kind of developed into how we pitched it here, definitely recognize the desire is to keep that bridge and then create the alternate access, have a secondary access. In the context of the hazard mitigation program, road relocation is eligible. And so that's how this idea came out of the conversations with VEM. So we wanted to just let you all know that that would be a possibility and they would fund removal and relocation. The bridge itself, I think, is already in their list of projects, is what they mentioned, so on their list. But with the bridge being replaced, they're less likely to fund the secondary access.
Well, replacement of the bridge is our primary goal, but we've been told so many times that we're probably never gonna get that.
Yeah, we asked that question
We're
of,
trying to find a different.
what's her name, Stephanie Smith 2 weeks ago in a webinar. It's
Yeah.
a question I posed, saying this is what we'd like to do. And she said, I know that bridge is not going to get funded under this program. We want to, it's just that'll be a $5 million bridge to replace it. And that's just,
So.
it won't be competitive. We need to create a solution.
So are you, I guess as far as this project is presented on this table, are you not interested in pursuing the funding for the alternate route without the bridge also being improved, or?
It's not my call, but
I don't
Why
think we
can't
want to
we-
remove the bridge. I don't think we would
Right,
prefer the alternate access over having the bridge that we have.
Yeah.
So we would probably take that one off.
Okay.
yeah. Well, we want
Unless it
to,
could
we do
stand
want to.
alone.
Yeah,
The
we do want the alternate access because
Right.
until that bridge
you're
is
saying
replaced,
They can't
we're
stand
gonna need.
alone.
Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, that's what VEM has advised, is that they won't, they're unlikely to fund the alternate route if the bridge is, if the new bridge is built.
And so, I mean, overall, the goal here is to get the most likely projects picked for
Yeah.
approval, basically. So if this one, if we change it and it's not likely to get funded, we probably want to pick something else, is what I'm hearing.
Maybe they'll fund all the project except the bridge removal.
It's sort of like the
Sounds
chicken
like
salad
it.
sandwich without the chicken, without the salad, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So is the alternate route, the Dairywood Road, is that, how much of a time difference is that for the people that are impacted or would use it?
As far as driving around,
Yeah,
Probably not much of anything.
Well, if you
5
wanted to,
minutes.
if you wanted to go north on Route 100, you have to go all the way down
Yeah, I guess that's the only.
Dairy Woods Road back, and it's a lot more, it's
so as a long-term
3 extra miles.
solution-
10 minutes.
As a long-term solution, you wouldn't want to consider that as a new entrance for that neighborhood with the removal of the bridge? If it was paid for to do that?
I don't think so.
I don't think that was really our goal. I don't think the neighborhood would support it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, every time the bridge washes out, we're scrambling, and we got lucky to have a neighbor who was so accommodating.
Yeah. I think the goal was to be a little bit less pinched when
Right,
if
advance.
when it happens again. Yeah, we don't have a lot of options for them to get out. Right now we're relying on private landowners. So this proposal is to secure
Yeah.
a town right away at a minimum.
Yeah, when that bridge is out, we have to enter into a contract with the private landowner to build a road on his land so we can get people in and out of there.
I know, I'm just encouraging you to consider that FEMA hasn't said yet, they have said they were not gonna fund this likely, at least for
Well,
mitigation.
they said they're
right?
gonna fund it, and they said they haven't gonna fund it about 18 times.
Yeah, and then V-Trans has said that they have said no, right? So,
They said no to.
it's just, I'm just.
They've said it's highly unlikely, I think.
Yeah, so basically, you might be stuck dealing with this situation over and over and over if you don't pursue something else. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna still have trouble getting this bridge funded for a long time and probably continue to have issues with it.
No.
Just something, something to,
I don't think just changing the access is ever gonna work there. It's not gonna
okay,
work.
okay.
You're going through someone's yard almost, at one point, so
Yeah.
okay.
don't think it's gonna be it.
Well, we can stay in the loop with VM's evaluation of the BCA for the bridge
Yeah,
replacement then.
Say that again?
We'll just stay in the loop on VM's BCA work and evaluation for the bridge replacement.
yeah,
They're actually taking that step?
yes,
It's on their list, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so if it did pass the BCA, then it could be pursued.
So who requested the BCA?
We did.
Yeah, the town.
I filled out the form and sent.
Oh, that's right,
Melissa,
that's
Melissa
right.
sent it in.
Yeah,
The one in between the two we just mentioned is a combination of floodplain lowering and some floodplain bench creation through the North Village, and looking at more than one parcel. So originally, folks have been talking about the river left parcel, the part of the Platte property. And we are also proposing to look at maybe benching behind the marketplace, and then if possible near the Mill Tavern building, and generally we can scope out where we could create a floodplain bench through and then downstream, or up to the confluence with Elton Brook and then downstream.
Did you see the study that was done by SLR?
Yes, there's that one
There's
parcel by
Basically
itself
zero difference.
during those high magnitude floods, and then maybe a little bit more of an impact during the more frequently occurring floods.
And when you talk about benching, does the perimeter, the edge of the river itself change? Or are you digging into the edge of the river and, for example, at the mill property, moving into their green and parking space or something, for example,
So if your bank was like this,
right?
benching would be bringing it down and then tying into grade somewhere. So you would be cutting back into that property.
You would be cutting.
Sometimes you can do this without doing any stream work and channel work, so it's really just that bank
I think
That's
there
different.
definitely would be landowners along that stretch that, the question being, are there any landowners along the stretch of the West River and North Village who are interested in the property buyout?
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, there's landowners that are involved, but I don't know if they would be interested in the buyout, really. We'd probably be talking about the plats and the.
No one's put in for a buyout of any of those properties, so I'm pretty sure they're not interested.
Right.
You're pretty
No,
sure that what?
Pretty sure they're not interested.
The one unique situation is that the Platts property has, their wastewater is across the river at this point.
Yeah.
So,
That's gonna be a hard property.
Yeah,
yeah,
so that's part of the project, is the removal. Yeah, so that was understood, and the removal of that system would be a part of this project. As long as, we were wondering though about,
They're not necessarily on board with that.
is there a sewer that runs through there? Are there,
Yeah, there's sewer that runs across the river.
you mean?
I don't know if it's under the river or.
Not municipal.
So we have a
Municipal, yeah.
wastewater project that's a completely separate ball of wax that is ramping up, but there's not been any.
Well, it would make sense for them to connect.
but they're not currently connected to any.
The
sewer?
system doesn't
We don't have
exist
it.
right
There isn't
now,
one,
but it's set to begin, within the next
Year.
year, I guess. I mean, there's,
Beginning of next year, yeah.
Next year.
So
And
that-
even the
Supposed to be
SLR study
done next
indicated that even using that property, there would be, it was 0.02 inch difference. I mean, it didn't do anything for flood elevations.
Yeah,
Right,
so
so-
we were gonna look at maybe combining other properties
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
see.
the thing is, you gotta do all the properties in one model to see what it would do.
Yeah,
Doing one's not gonna do it.
right.
I mean, we are currently pursuing purchasing of a property next to the rescue squad, which is 5 acres to do that. There's part of Pingree Park on Utley Brook that we can do flood elevation project on. We have the Proudy property down here, which has a portion that is not usable, so you might as well try it there.
I think that's the
Transfer
importance of
station.
finding out Weston and Jamaica's plans too, right? Including that information in the equation might skew it enough to make it worthwhile, but I don't know if we
Yeah.
even have enough opportunities in Londonderry to make a big enough difference, it's hard to say.
It is.
One thing we could look at with the park, since that's sort of part of that system with the confluence, is lumping that into these village parcel ideas, so including that one. One thing to note with the properties upstream of the Williams Dam is that, so many of them are already inundated during the 100-year flood, right? And
Could you say that again, please?
many of them are already inundated during the 100-year flood. And so lowering them, you may see a difference during those more frequent floods, but maybe not during the 100 where you're also already overtopping the dam. And then the dam does influence the river quite a ways. And so those properties are also under the hydraulic influence of the dam. And so for those floodplain reconnection projects, we really want to look for these places where our channels are really having sized and disconnected from their floodplains.
Say that one
Maybe
more time.
Where they've sized, lowered.
The sides, yeah.
Yeah, they're disconnected, they've been straightened in some way. Those are where you'll end up seeing potentially more of the benefit of the floodplain storage. But we did look at those because they are on the list, and we just thought through the hydrology, the geomorphology a little bit more. And
I mean, I know some people in town will hate me for saying this, but honestly, most of those projects aren't worth even pursuing without taking out the dam. They're not gonna do any good.
On the Spring Hill Road culvert, I'm presuming this is I wasn't at that meeting, but that would be the culvert that we're presently designed, working with Matt Bockler on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be eligible if it's already underway.
And why is that?
Because the hazard mitigation program won't pay for work already completed.
It's not
We
complete.
haven't even
Or
started the
design.
project.
We haven't
We've
started.
designed it.
We have designed.
We
Because
just
the
don't have
design was
enough money
paid
to
for.
do it.
You don't have implementation funding.
We only have about half the money to pay for it.
Okay.
We got some V-Trans funding for that. We had also had V-Trans structures funding to pay for the soft costs, engineering and all that. And then we've got V-Trans TA grant of $400,000.
Yeah.
But that only brings us halfway it's an $800,000 project.
That's why we're asking for these box culverts, because
Yeah.
they're 800 or $1 million projects, and we are never gonna be able to afford that without putting a substantial price tag on the taxpayers.
We tried to get FEMA to at least top off the project, acknowledging the other money we had, but they balked at that. They figured if there's any kind of federal funding already obligated, that FEMA's not gonna touch it,
Yeah.
which to me just makes no sense.
Yeah, they
We've
can't.
been put an effort toward dealing with it.
You can't do a federal to federal combination.
Yeah.
I think, you're better off to use the river money on something that doesn't already have part of it funded.
Right, yeah, not partially funded. If you did have something that had preliminary designs already, but never got any further, a culvert with preliminary designs or something, that's something that maybe we could bump into the Parker bucket.
That's what we tried to do with Spring Hill. We did our preliminary design, but we got lucky and got additional funding.
Yeah, I talked to Matt today about this culvert, and he said it's about 100,000 short.
No, it's about 300 to 400,000 short.
Yeah, we'll see once we get, we're gonna take it on the chin. We're gonna have to borrow money to fix it. So again, we were just trying to get FEMA to top it off.
Oh, so the South Village Fire Station relocation, I know that we had kind of had preliminary talks about that. I talked with the, assistant fire chief about that a while ago. So FEMA won't pay for the construction of a new building, but would fund the buyout of the property and the relocation of the existing building. And my understanding is that there's land to put it, but, I guess our thought behind this is that, I know that, what seemed more likely to happen was that a new fire station would need to be built at the land that you own. And that seemed financially not possible without HMDP to pay for it, but
Well, we're talking with USDA Rural Development. They have grants and loans for that.
yeah, so that's what we were thinking we could, if you wanted to help to advance under this work, would be kind of moving things forward with developing a plan with you for funding it, to just get the project off the ground, so to speak, and help you think about it more and plan it out a bit more. But FEMA won't pay for, the design of a new building, so that, it's kind of trying to help you make progress on something. Yeah. So that's, if you're interested in what we could do.
So it appears to me, if we look at the back page, we clarified the Spring Hill Road culvert replacement is probably not likely. So that sets the whole back page out. And then if the fire station is not really feasible either, then it's really the top three on the list.
The top three, and then with the fire station, what could be funded is the buyout of the property. And then through conceptual design, one thing we can look at is the feasibility of moving it and coming up with like that plan of where you could maybe move the fire station.
The problem is we can't buy out the fire station because then they'll have nowhere to go, so that's not realistic.
Yeah, well, no, we wouldn't want it
Is that
to
just a
be
matter of
gone and not
sequencing the
have it, so
steps?
we have to have a place for it to go.
Don't you just have to sequence the steps?
We have to see it.
Well, a new fire station's gonna be at $10-20 million. So that's probably not gonna be for 10-20 years. And the buyouts are gonna, all the buyout money's gonna be
It
gone.
gets more expensive every year to build. Sooner you do it, the better.
There's a lot that would go into that project. I
Well,
don't
we
think
talked
we're
about
ready
other
for it.
options of moving them up here and moving the town garage up there.
Mhm.
So possible
Yeah,
other alternatives that,
there were a few that I think folks mentioned.
Yeah, I think we're on the top three, really, or the
Top three.
ones that will go anywhere.
if we still had to take out Reinhardt, that would be the only alteration to the three, I guess.
Yep.
The
Except
top
for the
three,
removal of the
but
bridge.
The bridge, yeah.
Yeah, we don't need the bridge removed. Just
Oh,
an
right,
alternate
yeah.
access.
Did we talk about Rose Road? I mean, I know nothing about it.
It's on the back, it's.
I think
No.
the ultimate answer there is that even raising it, it
Doesn't
can
help.
still be flooded.
There's like 200 or 20 feet or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the FEMA maps, the backwater, it's 1,020 feet all the way from the dam up to there, and so
Yep.
it's in a tough spot.
Yeah, it's right at the line.
Yeah.
Well, three's better than nothing.
Hey, looking at, I'm sorry.
Chat.
Tom, I'm looking for some clarification from you. These young ladies, as well as Martha today, brought up the unofficial master plan for the North Village, and that included the Stevens and Associate, their whole study. That master plan has never been accepted by the town of Londonderry, the select board, and has been tabled and set aside.
Planning
It is-
commission never came to the select board to even ask for adoption, and the select board did not adopt it.
Right, since then, it has been removed from the town website because it is not to be included, or should not be included, or used as a reference point because it has not been adopted. It is a 200-plus page document with 4 phases. And in the Stevens study, in their report, they do talk about 11 properties along that quarter-mile stretch for buyout. And also in that study, they ask, or they recommend, or maybe they ask, I guess, for the power of eminent domain if those property owners are not willing to sell out. Now, those numbers for the buyout of those 11 properties equals $7.1 million plus, just to buy out those 11 properties along Main Street. I think that document has never been accepted. It has been removed from the town website. Therefore, anybody moving forward, these young ladies included, need not reference that study. It needs to be, the dog has been beat, it needs to be put to bed.
I've been a very vocal critic of that study myself. Most of it was unrealistic, and V-Trans was never gonna approve moving or elevating that road. It's just, most of that plan was never gonna happen.
So is that something that the select board can suggest to any other studies moving forward, that that plan is not to be used, looked at, or referenced for any further work that is needed, definitely in the town of Londonderry?
Well, the rest of the board would have to agree on that, but I would agree on that.
I would agree.
Well, but there's, I mean, a study involves research, it involves considering options. You don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right?
Yes, we do.
So all we should think about is, maybe if we didn't accept it and we have another set of consultants or developers who come along, we certainly can reference it and decide whether or not they're pieces of that original study that are valuable.
We paid for it, so we can always keep the study,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what
But
we're, yeah, don't
most of that
literally
study
throw it in
is-
the circular file. That's,
Most of that study is worthless. I'm sorry.
well, and, that's an opinion, that's
I mean,
fine.
they spent 3 months looking at a roundabout that V-Trans told us we could never put a roundabout there, until they finally asked for the document from V-Trans. After 3 months of me saying, you can't do this.
Okay, I wasn't here for any of that, so
So-
that's fine.
I just think it
Sorry to
clouds
say.
everybody's mind that that document is still there, and if
You can't,
further
it's been
studies,
seen, though, I
Tom,
mean, you
if
can't move
if
it.
further studies are going to be based off from this, then it needs to be put back on the town website, as well as Stevens and company, or Stevens and Associates survey or whatever they wrote. It should be placed back on the website easily enough for people to access, so they can see how ridiculous something like that is.
It was on there for, 2 years? I think everybody had a chance to see how ridiculous it was. And part of the reason for taking it down was so it wouldn't be referenced anymore, because it was completely unrealistic.
Thank you, Tom.
So, the way I was looking at it is Reinhardt, Barker, or if we could throw another culvert in there, if Barker, or if Reinhardt is done by PA. Alternate access and flood elevation is looking at our list here and looking at the list of stuff you guys say we can't advance, that'd probably be it.
If we, if it's not recommended to do the bridge removal and alternate access, would we have the planning for the fire station taken up maybe? And if that other one is not gonna pass, I mean,
Well, this is coming from FEMA though, these funds, right? And if it's not eligible for mitigation, is it something that can even be gone forward with? Because we're not gonna do a buyout until
Of the
we
fire
have a new
station?
station.
So part of this other like a smaller component of rivers is these projects that are not going to be eligible under hazard mitigation, we'll take a stab at recommending the best sort of alternate funding source for those projects. So
That's helpful.
we could not do the conceptual, but say, hey, this kind of funding, and you can revisit it later, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, unless we have, this is still early stages, so, I mean, maybe we go back and try to come up with a feasible replacement as a third option as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been trying to connect with USDA Rail Development. I had one call with them about the firehouse, and they're supposed to be getting me information, and it's been about a month and a half with about 4 follow-up emails, and I haven't seen it yet.
Because this will take, time for this funding to come through too. So if you can line up those other pieces,
Yep.
and we can work on conceptual, and you can look at it, and you can say no too, and stop, but you'll still have that information to move forward with if you want.
Could we put that on as a 4th, just to say if something else didn't go forward?
I would maybe put it as your third, because I don't think just the alternate access is gonna go very far with the hazard mitigation.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify, and
Oh, I think we heard you. We understand what you're saying.
I
It's
wish we could
just,
say yes,
yeah.
but
it's, that whole bridge and alternate access is a joke to me with the state and FEMA. I mean, those people were cut off. The only way you could get to them for a day or two was a helicopter. Or walking your ass in there. I mean, the fact that no one realizes this is a joke to me.
Well, maybe we could say if the top three are the top three.
I mean, that alternate access is fire and ambulance getting to those people, where they would not before. They had no way to get there.
Okay,
It's
well, we can
life-saving.
take it back. I mean, we can take it back to DEM and
Yeah.
push it a bit harder and.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's life-saving right there. That's people's lives.
Maybe
Yeah, I mean,
offline we could talk to Stephanie Smith and Ben Rose and just get a reality check.
Yeah.
Yeah, the next piece that would be helpful for the town to get from you would be information for the benefit cost analysis.
Like the information on how long people were cut off. and
Yeah,
dimensions.
the helicopter use.
Well, there was no use, but that is what would have had to be done. If someone was having a heart attack or something, you would have had to try to get a helicopter in there. There was no other way to get in there.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Unless I'm going with my six-wheeler and putting some heart attack patient on the back of my bed and driving them out to the road.
Technical rescue.
And that would be not the best situation, I'm sure.
Yeah, so the benefit cost analysis, there can be some type of projected cost into it, but data that you have around repairs and flood damages that have been experienced for these culverts and for the bridge and
Yep.
everything, that's the kind of information that,
Don't you have access through the FEMA, through the stuff we've already filed?
I do not have access to that. No, I can't log in. I think you probably have the access for the town. Log
Yeah,
in
we
the grants.
we filed all this, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of pages of documents already with FEMA.
Well, we should have some historical documents, I would figure, on Reinhardt and
I
Barker.
can re-forward.
The alternate access, I mean, we're only talking a couple.
There
20,
are
30
ways
grand,
to
maybe,
access the information that you filed with FEMA, so I can forward folks that information and see if who has the login on it.
If you could give us the questions you need answered, we can.
And the flood elevation, I mean, that's millions of dollars if we can reduce flooding in town. There's your cost and benefit analysis right there.
With the bridge too, the other thing that would be good to know is how you came up with the cost estimate for the new bridge.
V-Trans.
V-Trans.
Okay.
And it was just one staff member who's not a bridge engineer.
We did
who
not
just
get,
said,
yeah.
Maybe
I-
wrong.
let's not use her name, but she said,
Sorry.
it's gonna be $4 to $5 million.
It's not
And
like
and
we're
if you
gonna,
look at it, I mean, it's right on Route 100. It's already at a skew and it needs to, it'd be a disaster because it's right now 44 feet, needs to be 68 feet. And
and it needs
you
to be
can't get
raised.
that.
so I guess, since it's on the BCA list with VEM now, then that'll be the answer as to, I don't know, but this one's just the removal of it, so. If we can get the bridge, then how do you feel about the alternate access?
If we could raise the bridge up where, in the most likely event of a flood, it would not wash out, then we'd probably not need the
And you
alternate
don't need
access.
it.
Right.
I mean, the whole thing, we've been trying for, I don't even, a year and whatever amount of time now is to get that bridge replaced. And we have been told try not to swear, because it's been a process with that bridge. We've been told everything from everyone. Yes, you will replace it. No, we won't.
Yeah.
Yes, we will. No, we won't. That's
Yeah.
been a year of that.
And Stephanie Smith, whatever it was, a couple weeks ago, said that project is not,
Viable.
it's not competitive. It's not gonna fly.
Yeah,
That was 2
I
weeks
saw
ago.
the email from the other FEMA person a while ago. I know.
I've wasted a lot of my life on that bridge. With a lot of different answers, and I yelled at the state, everybody at the state on a conference call. Because it was so bad how they were handling everything, state and FEMA. It's ridiculous. So if you want to sell alternate access or replace bridge, that'd be great. I mean, I'm willing to throw Windy Rise Culvert on there if we can. If you think alternate access ain't gonna make it. But
I think I would look at combining Windy potentially with Barker. 'Cause
Yep,
you
I
know,
like that.
stronger.
We'll try to have a meeting with FEMA this week on Reinhard Road, and I'll report back to the board and to you guys if there's any change of the present plan of that being funded through the PA program.
Okay.
Ryan, yeah, that would be great to know. Great.
All right, so then I guess just to recap then, the culverts and the second project there are a yes, and then the second choice, along with the Cobble Ridge Road Bridge replacement being one of your top 3 choices pending the BCI, and then the second choice with the fire station.
Backup with it.
Yeah, backup choice.
I had Reinhardt alternate access and flood elevation. That's what I was thinking myself.
That's
But alternate
first.
access doesn't seem to be something that's gonna go very far, so I guess we could take that off, but the fire department seems like there's other projects that are better suited than just doing the fire department planning to me. Cause we already have a piece of land. I mean, that planning is not that technical, I don't believe, besides the actual plans to build the building.
So what was the third project? I'm not clear.
The flood elevation projects,
And then
restoration elevation projects.
The one that says North Village floodplain reconnection in Nutley Brook.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, you could put Utley Brook, period. That's the big thing. I mean, I have studies that have given to the state, and I haven't heard anything back yet. If you change the way those 2 rivers come together, you can reduce the backwater by up to 54%.
Yeah, so that one will.
And I know that's not gonna be popular with the state, but something's gotta be done.
Okay, so
I didn't build the town on the river. I just tried to save what's here.
Thank you.
I mean, if that's, the board's gotta agree with me on this.
So it's the top 3 on the front page,
Yes.
and Windy Rise combined with Barker on the second page.
Yeah, I mean.
That's the alternate Reinhardt gets
Right.
PA.
So it's Reinhardt that Windy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not crystal clear on whether VEM would combine culvert projects from 2 different locations into one. I actually doubt that, but we'll ask. And if it's 2 separate applications, it's 2 separate applications, but Windy Rise will put on the list then.
And it maybe Windy Rise and Barker become 1 and 2, and then if the bridge project is a no-go, then the North Village floodplain would be the 3rd one. So the top 2 would be 1 and 2.
I mean, we hear what you guys are saying, that FEMA's not gonna look at these, but this is what the town needs, so that's what we're gonna put in.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay.
It comes down to what we actually need versus what they think we need.
Yeah.
And we'll try and develop them and see if.
And this is a great help to us. I mean, you're taking our needs and finding the right socket to put them into. So thank you for doing this research work and helping facilitate it.
Yeah, it's a great project, so, yeah, we're happy to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Any other visitors or concerned citizens? All right. Moving on to item 7, town official business. 7A is Mountain Towns Recreation Director permission to subscribe to Squarespace for new Mountain Town Recreation website.
Yes,
So kind of circling back around, we've been operating with a free template for our website, which was based off of youth sports registration. It's worked really good for that. It does not work at all for what NTR is trying to do, is to reach out to the community, to feature other community events and other community groups. They're just unable to do it without charging us thousands of dollars for customization. So the move that we've talked about all summer, or all spring even, is moving to the Squarespace, making our own website that I can edit as needed, and we can actually start to expand and do a lot more things. So I think we talked about this a month or so ago. So finally heard back from the other group to try to answer all the questions I had, and it's just not going to happen. So hoping to
We've
get
tried
approved.
valiantly to make that work. So.
Try, yeah.
And I put together a motion incorrectly. I thought it was I thought it was Square, which is
Like point of
a payment,
sale. Yeah.
which is the payment program, not Squarespace. So
Another conversation I started.
yeah, so it doesn't need to be Tina.
Not tonight.
Doesn't need to be Tina. It should, or it should authorize Liam.
I move to authorize Mountain Town's Recreation Director to subscribe to Squarespace space for a new Mountain Town Recreation website.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And 7B, Mountain Town's Recreation Director, consider purchase of used compact tractor for parks and recreation use.
So we touched on this last meeting, and we realized that since it would be used for parks only, that it would need to come out of parks, and it would not be part of roads. And so we just met as the Parks Board last week, and it was a unanimous decision to purchase the tractor out of the Riverside funds. Happy to expand more.
Is it the one we have pictures of on the website?
Correct.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I have talked to our, Matt Coleman, who does a lot of our mechanical work on our equipment. And he's looked at the tractor and he does not see any problem with it. At first he thought the price might be a little high, but then he figured once you throw in the trailer and all the attachments, it's actually a pretty good deal. Which is about what I was thinking myself.
Where's this gonna be stored?
There's still conversation on that. There's talk with Josh about space here. FBAA still owns the sheds down at Pingree. And since a lot of this is to maintain ball fields, that location would be somewhat ideal. But that's a conversation we're still working with FBA. They've talked about donating that and moving concessions back to the smaller shed where they used to be, so volunteers could actually see the games.
What was the price on that?
It was 19,004 or 19,500.
What's a new one?
By itself, like 26 or 27. Without
No attachment.
just the
No.
tractor, no attachment at all, not even a bucket.
How many hours on it?
It's
Just
like-
over 1,900.
Okay, does it come with a mowing deck? What does it come with attachments? I haven't seen it.
Yes,
I'm just curious.
2 finished mowing decks, 1 brush mowing deck. We've got a York rake, and we've got the backhoe, as well as a kind of a truck bed shelf attachment.
And the trailer.
And the tandem axle trailer, extra blades, extra belts, extra hydraulic fluids. It was a one-owner operation, a couple that unfortunately the gentleman passed, and the wife passed it on to the current seller. He's not even used it, he's just turning it around, so.
Very light use on it.
Was there any negotiation on the purchase as far as it being for the town? I'm sort of asking that knowing that there was an answer to that question, but I forget.
The negotiation was that they were willing to keep it for the last 3 weeks for the town, and
Not price.
there was
not a
not
price
there was not
adjustment.
price change. No.
I know one thing Matt Bowman told me was on upkeep and any parts replacement's gonna be 10 times cheaper than anything new.
Because it's an older model?
Yep.
Okay.
Doesn't have
All the emissions.
doesn't have all the electronics, the emissions, just,
Dirty diesel.
yeah.
Good.
So I'm sorry, I didn't hear, what was the price?
19,500.
And who's selling it?
Eric Olson is part of the car. Sorry?
Holly K.
It's the little yellow house here on Route 100.
So do we need to make a motion if the Parks is gonna spend their own money on it?
Or town money?
Yeah.
True.
And it's still town funds, we gotta approve it.
Yeah, the board has to authorize it. You don't have to mention
It comes
who you're
down
buying
to
it
us.
from.
Yeah.
Just the price. Just the price of this
Yeah.
part.
It still comes down to us to approve the purchase. Levi, speak up if you got any problems.
No, they call that the man killer backhoe.
Yeah.
It's a PTO driven with two arms that come out. Yeah. But other than that, it looks great.
The backup probably won't be used that much, honestly.
No.
Might even be something we could even sell if we wanted to.
Right,
Just like the trailer could probably be sold even, I don't know.
right.
That might be a good idea right off the bat, if it's, well, I mean, unless you determine that you need something like that.
Well, town has its own axles that I'm sure we can work with, I believe.
You're saying there's a safety issue?
That backhoe, they don't make them like that anymore. For a reason. They call them a man killer.
He's just sitting right on the
Yeah.
PTO.
They don't have, the downriggers on a current model are much safer, the way they attach.
The sort of
the tractor,
platform, the holder?
Just so you don't tip yourself over.
Ah,
yeah.
okay.
And we do own an excavator if we ever need to dig a hole.
Right.
I think for those reasons, it might be better to just let that piece of equipment.
Auctions
go back to
International.
auction or
There we go,
something,
okay.
offset the cost of what you do need. Possibly.
Anybody that knows about it, know.
And we're gonna make a motion.
I would move to acquire the used compact tractor and associated equipment for $19,500 for Londonderry Parks and Recreation purposes to be paid for from the Riverside Park Fund.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the
My back
research work.
thanks you too.
We'll find other things for you back.
Um,
7C, town clerk approval of special town meeting minutes of July 13th, 2024.
I move to approve the minutes of the special town meeting of July 13, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Everybody's gotta sign that one. 7D, Village Wastewater Committee, authorization to conduct soil borings within town rights of way. This is for the
Great.
piping, I assume?
Yeah, Village Wastewater Project, I've already put in an application to the state to do borings in the state highway in some locations. And obviously the board, as controller of all town roads, needs to sign off on the use of town roads. We don't know specifically where the sites are going to be right yet. It'll be a to be determined sort of thing. But obviously we would have Josh and/or Taylor, agree to it. Plus we have to do dig safe at all locations. And it's probably not for a few more weeks.
I think it makes sense to make that authorization and follow.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody else was looking to do it, we would have to do the application. There's an access permit, which the application to work in the town right away, but it's our contractors, so we would normally do that.
And I assume this is all coming from the funds given to us by the state?
Yes, yeah, it's all paid for through the ARPA funding.
No.
I'll make the motion. I move to authorize the Village Wastewater Committee through its project engineer and boring contractor to conduct soil borings within the right-of-way of the following town highways: Edge Hill Road, Brooks Lane, Main Street, Fells Peak Road, Old School Street, Middletown Road, and Crescent Street. The specific locations for these borings are to be coordinated with the road commissioner and/or road foreman and are subject to dig-safe review.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Moving on to item 8, transfer station solid waste management, 8A's updates.
So I wanted to get back to you about the compactor for our recyclables. I sent you earlier today a new agreement from Casella because our current agreement will be over August 13th, and if we're going to use the compactor, we're going to need some more time. There's, I think, a 4 to 6 week in order to order the compactor. I don't know if you've looked into the pad.
I have called Record like 5 times now and they won't call me back, so I've got to call Carroll Concrete. I was meaning to do it last week, but I haven't got a chance.
So, yeah, so there are pieces that need to be put in place in order to do that, and Casella said that they could just add an amendment or redo the agreement when we decide to move forward with that. So
I do have a list of other contractors if you need resources for a slab.
I was going to try Carroll, but I don't even know who else is around.
They sell concrete, but I don't know if they would pour in place.
No. All right. Yeah, then I will need some names.
All right, I can help with
And the state said it's fine, all I have to do is submit a new site plan when that's put in.
They said A&R doesn't have to weigh in.
Say what?
I was telling Shane, they said A&R didn't have to weigh in.
Who said that?
The state.
The state said that.
The state, yeah.
I would get that in writing.
I have it in writing, I will send you the email.
No, I don't need it. I mean,
Okay,
if you
no,
got
it's
it, that's all.
definitely in writing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. Super.
So the numbers, and I don't know if you're ready to hear the numbers, but the compactor price is $29,600. Casella said they could buy it and rent it to us. It would be a 5-year agreement. They would own it at the end of 5 years. But during that 5 years, they would be responsible for all maintenance.
How much maintenance do they require?
I'm sorry?
How much maintenance do they require?
Well, I'll tell you, with the compactor that we use for trash, we've had it an awfully long time, and there hasn't been that much maintenance for it.
Other than
We've had it long
Wires.
enough that the guy from, I can't even remember the name of the company who came to do the, he
Atlantic.
looked at them at Atlantic, he came to look at all of them. He said, the thing is very old and in very good shape.
So
Luckily.
if we rented it from Casella at, it would be $10,740 a year with a 5-year agreement of $53,700, which sounds like a lot more than $29,000.
Yeah.
But that would include the rental of the container. So we would have to rent a container by the month, which would cost an additional $220 a month. We could buy the container, but they have to swap it out.
Yeah.
And there's no saying that we'll get our container back. Yeah.
But when we met with them, they were saying like 40 to 50,000 for the compactor.
Right.
Now it's 29.
The quote that he said was $29,600. So that would
Maybe
not.
that's because we didn't have to change the 3-phase.
I'm sorry, what?
Maybe that's because we didn't have to change the 3-phase.
I don't know that he was thinking about that, but he
Yes, yeah.
waited to get the quote from Atlanta.
Yeah.
So he sent that, but that would not include the pad, that would not include getting the power from wherever
But the savings per year is like $23,000, right?
in hauling,
Yeah.
right?
So it almost
It'd
pays
still
for
be-
itself in 1 year, just the compactor.
The compactor would, but, yeah, the hauling costs,
$200.
I don't think I have it here,
Oh, no.
but the hall is
It was around
More.
23,000 if I remember correctly, of savings.
for hauling the compactor.
Yeah, because it was half the amount of trips they'd have to take because it's a bigger container.
It's more expensive per haul, right?
It might have been more expensive for a haul, but it was
Fewer
60.
trips?
It was 60 something
It would be
less trips a
fewer
year.
trips, because the difference in the amount that we could fit in those 30-yarders,
Right.
without them being, even if they were tamped down. But if you have a compactor and you put all the recyclables in and
Squish it.
And it's a
smush it in there,
40-yard
right?
container.
Excuse me?
It would be a 40-yard container for that compactor too.
As opposed to the 230s that we now use. The other thing is that we would be going to a single stream system, so that all of the paper stuff that we now collect in the 30-yarder and all the containers we can
Plastics.
collect in another 30-yarder would all go into that. We would still try to keep the cardboard separate, because we do bale it and we do have some revenue from that. So I guess we need to get the rest of the prices for the pad and the power.
Can't imagine it's gonna be that spendy.
I'm sorry?
I can't imagine it's gonna be that spendy. The pad's gonna be the only thing that's probably gonna cost too much. The electrical, I doubt.
What size is the pad?
It was 6-inch by 10 foot by 35, I wanna say, if I'm remembering correctly.
It's, I mean, probably
10?
spoil 10 grand, yeah.
Yeah, I was figuring something like that.
About 10,000, you think?
Yeah, I mean, depending on how much prep there is or.
But all that put together, you're looking at 2 years basically paying off.
Yeah, it seems like a better deal to buy it. I mean, acknowledging that they don't make things the way that they used to. You buy a brand new one, it may not perform like the one that you have
Right.
currently, but it's still, 29,000 versus
50 something.
50, nearly double.
And we would own it, as opposed to Casella at the end of 5 years saying.
They'll
it's
continue to
ours.
rent it to you for,
Yeah.
Yeah.
once
What's
it's
the
paid
rental
for.
cost, 10,000?
10,747 is what I wrote down.
Okay.
But that included the container.
Mhm.
Right.
And you said there was another fee though, didn't you?
The $200 a month.
Wasn't there a different fee too, you said?
A different,
An additional fee.
An additional fee
You did.
with the rental, is that
yeah,
right?
if we own it, we pay a rental fee for the container per month.
Oh, yeah. I thought you said there was
$220.
another additional fee under,
It's 220.
with the 5-year. Never mind.
No,
Who's on first?
yeah. So, and the other thing is, single stream recycling. If somebody's paying attention, which is a big if, I mean, that's a really important part, will make recycling easier for a lot of people. They appreciate it more. I don't appreciate it as much, but the way that we've been doing it, it winds up being single stream anyway,
Yeah.
because there's not good oversight at the transfer station.
I don't think you could put someone in there all day by the cardboard and have them actually keep cardboard out.
It may not be
paper.
oversight as much as it is just cooperation.
You haven't been to Win Hall.
Well, yeah, what?
It said you haven't been to Win Hall.
You mean?
They're right on.
That's right.
Well, it's probably because there are fewer people coming in and out, do you think, or
Win Hall
not?
has a lot more people.
Lot
They
more.
don't have a lot more people than we do. We have 5.
We have 3 towns, 5
No, we have
towns.
5 towns.
That's right, I forgot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Winhall doesn't have nearly the amount of people we do.
No, and if you could find the transfer station.
You know?
Winhall is tiny compared to us,
So that's.
as far as
that's all-
transfer station goes.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, so that's all I have. So when we get the numbers together, we can look at it again and decide if that's the route to go, and then ask Casella to reissue an agreement or an amendment to the current one. But I did send you all the agreement this morning.
Through our Londonderry.org email, I just looked for it,
The
couldn't find it.
London to Select Board Londonderry, all of you were on it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It's okay.
So that should be signed before August 13th.
Yeah.
We
There's
did
no
not
meeting
get,
before.
we didn't get anything from you.
I did.
And has the town attorney
I
reviewed
Can't
that?
pull it up.
I got it in my, I got it in my,
Has Bob
First
Fisher
one.
reviewed that contract?
yeah, he must have got it all.
No, but it is
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
I got it in my personal.
contract that
It came to my
we
personal one
signed
too.
3
That's
years
the only
ago.
way I can, for some reason,
It
Esther's
shunted it.
connected
Okay. that's
personal
fine.
email.
That's fine. Sorry.
I did get it, but not at the town email.
So how do we solve the problem
Now
that
that
we
we're-
won't have
Not the
it?
town email, it was my professional email.
You're gonna need a
I
special.
got the personal too.
Really?
Yeah.
So I must have it
Something else.
wrong in my, okay.
You got mine right a little while ago. And
I guess I'm the
must
one
have
that
just
got
kept
the
clicking.
email.
I just have a
What's
group,
I
so
got
I'm
the town
wondering,
email.
Oh, yeah.
did you get it?
I got it as a town email, yeah.
There you go.
Well,
One right
Must be
on
my
that.
personal email.
Before we had town emails,
Yeah.
when I was on the select board, we were using personal emails at one point.
Yeah.
And Jim-
But it
but Jim
does,
didn't
here
get
it is, it's in my personal. Yeah.
No, Jim definitely
The other,
didn't.
this Jim didn't get.
But it does sound like we are gonna have to have a special meeting to get it done for you in time.
It's not on the agenda, so it would have to be ratified at a subsequent meeting anyway.
Well, we're gonna have to have a special meeting
Yeah,
to
planning.
interview all the planning commissions so we can do it quickly then anyway.
Yeah.
So, yep. And, is that all you got, Esther?
Yes.
8B, request for transfer station fee waiver, Weston Women's Club, Weston, and this seems to be a one-time waiver.
It is a one-time, I'll just mention it because I was handed the document by Maureen Brandt, but they are having, I think the Western Women's Club is having a jumble sale or something on the green, and whatever's left, they need to take to the transfer station, and they'd like to be waived.
Correct. And it could be take it or leave it stuff, it could be
No.
trash, I guess, right? But yeah,
Are you okay with them getting a, okay, super,
Absolutely.
thank you. Oh, I can't do this.
Anyone care to make that motion?
Alright. I move to approve the request to waive transfer station fees for the Weston Women's Club, which shall be limited to a one-time disposal of leftover items from a fundraising tag sale.
Second,
All those in favor? Aye.
so I'll send them the email saying that it was approved.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
Could you copy me on that?
On the email?
Yeah.
Sure.
I just keep a log of all the follow-up stuff that gets done.
And moving on to item 9, roads and bridges, 9A's updates.
A couple things. We received the backhoe this week.
Out of the blue.
oh, yay.
What's that?
Out of the blue.
Yeah.
He called up and said he's down there.
Yeah.
Very good.
In the
Okay.
middle of the road. I came out, whoa. And the unfortunate thing is it didn't come with any paperwork, so we don't have, we can't use it until we get the paperwork, so it's not insured or registered yet. So you won't see it out.
We haven't
but
paid for
it's-
it, you haven't paid for it either then.
So
Backhoe,
it's sort of like not getting it, but it's here.
It's a good paperweight.
A couple other things to bring up, that this was something I talked about with Josh, was about getting RFPs for Brophy Lane, Cody Road, and Winhall Station for culvert projects.
And some of those were under the
The deadline's coming up.
regional, is it?
Yes, it's for grants and aid.
Yeah.
I spoke with him this morning and I'll try to pump something out this week.
Okay, yeah, so, just so it's in the mix, I know that you guys have talked too, so.
Yeah.
Because they gotta be done by September, end of September, I believe.
Yes, end of September.
Right, so I'll kind of tee that up for the next board meeting, 2 weeks. I'll put something out this week and have them due in time for the next select board meeting.
Perfect.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can I forgot something. You usually sign the waiver form once that's approved. So,
I can stop in tomorrow and sign it.
I'll print one off right now.
I had one other thing under roads and bridges to mention. It was brought to my attention about, there's a tree that is has died in the row of trees that are on the Proudy property. And my assumption is that that would be a road crew responsibility and not parks necessarily, or it's more of a town problem than a roads and bridges problem. But it brought up another question in my mind, because there are other trees that are planted, and I know we have an inventory of trees that are dedicated to individuals. And this is not one of those trees. It's a tree that was existing that didn't survive the work that was done around it. But sort of a double-faced question, or just awareness maybe, that if that tree were to be replaced with something that was requested by somebody, is there any conflict with the wastewater? Have they flagged out their area? I know there's a bunch of ribbons and stuff down there.
They got flagging, I don't know where it's going or what it's for.
They did do the borings for that, and then, so the designer is putting together a proposed system, and so we'll know what that location is.
So don't plan it yet.
Right. Well, and there are already trees that are there that have little.
Oh, that
placards.
are in memoriam?
Yeah,
Or
this
an
is
honor
not
road?
one of them, but it just brought up, there's sort of a line that started of trees that are.
So we may need to replant them?
Well, I don't
certainly
know
can.
what their proposal
Yeah.
is. Are they working around all that stuff, or?
Maybe we get the grant to pay for it.
We should know pretty soon, because all this work is supposed to be done by 2026.
Right.
Actually, it's supposed to be done by August of 2025, I believe.
I mean, I know the land's not,
No, it's 26.
Yeah, 26 is
Is
it?
it 26?
Start
Yeah.
at 25.
All paperwork has to be done by December 26.
I mean, I wouldn't expect that the land is reserved to plant trees on, but it just kind of brought up a string of thoughts about that, because I know there's a fund that has a little bit of money in it for a tree to be planted that hasn't been done as well, so.
And Crowley Land isn't under the parks either.
Right, that, acknowledging that as well, that it's not the park's responsibility to deal with the trees or anything, so.
Just out of curiosity, was it killed by the rubber killing of
What was that?
the bees?
No, it's too far away.
I
It's
think
too far away. I think it's just dead.
I was asking if it was damaged by the rototiller for the bee field.
Yeah, I remember when the property was first purchased, that whole area was all trees.
Yeah.
And as the clearing was made, there was a few select maples that, they looked like they were decent, but inevitably when you open up around trees, they just are unhealthy and they fail. And this is what happened, and it's finally failed after all those years. It's been in poor condition for a long time, just because of the work that was done around it to open up the property. So I guess that's just more of an awareness that maybe I know there's some marked trees in Williams Park and around town.
Yeah.
Can you say they're inventoried?
Well, I'm curious, if I'm sure Tina has.
Tree warden should know.
that, maybe.
Yeah, that's the
What's
right
that?
person.
Tree warden should know.
And I don't know where those records would be, or, if we have,
If we had them, they'd be in the vault somewhere.
Yeah.
Where, I don't know.
I'm sure either, maybe Kevin or Tina would have some information. And, I mean, Mark Wright has probably done the majority of the planting.
I have a feeling we don't have any of that written down. I have a feeling they were just planted, given a name tag, and that was that.
Well, and I don't think it's uncommon for municipalities to have an inventory of
Yeah, I think it's a
trees,
good
so-
idea.
No, I'm not saying we should.
No,
I don't think
well,
we do, probably.
right. And not to belabor that, but just to bring it up, that there might be a direction or some attention that needs to be paid to that. And everything else is on the agenda, so that's all I have.
9B is consider U.S. Army Corps Engineers request to repair a portion of Cohen Road, Town Highway number 52. Well, I guess we don't have anyone from that tonight.
No, I think,
It's, historically, it was opened up when I was younger. There was just a gate and there was a road.
they've maintained it other times too, actually. I think Josh and I were texting about it before, and I mean, it makes sense for them to make those repairs. The constraint that they have is that all of their traffic has to go over that iron bridge, and they're limited. They can't even bring a full-size dump truck over there. So in order to do the bulk of the work in the campground, they need that
Can you
access.
tell me which one is Cohen Road?
So if you take Goodaville down to
Right.
the bridge and turn left
To the
and
bridge.
go all the way down the Windhall River into the campground.
Oh,
Jamaica actually
accessing
owns-
the campground
Yeah,
via
Jamaica
the
owns
river.
part of Cohen Road, we have the last part.
Okay.
Right, so we have to go into Jamaica to get to Cohen Road.
So they're gonna clear the road for us.
They're gonna repair it and clear it.
The Army Corps is gonna re-gravel it, put river embankments back and all that?
Yeah, they
Because
got,
that's a lot.
Yeah, it was
It
heavily
just says to
damaged.
fix a washout, that's all they say.
Well,
A lot of the roads are gone.
it's a significant
they
one.
want to repair it, and they've been asked by fire and rescue for an alternate access because of that bridge.
Totally. Totally.
I think it makes a lot of sense to,
And from what I
Let them
know,
do
Well,
it.
well, maybe they should do it through FEMA.
and it's all done.
And that way, if they get it done without having to remove the bridge, maybe we can do that.
Right, right.
That road's needed work for a long time, that's amazing.
Yeah, like I said, when we were kids, you could bike out there, it was
You
wide
literally
open,
got-
it was just a road.
One lane, him and I can ride a bike on there now.
But,
I
it's
snowmobiled it
Yeah.
and got stuck.
yeah, it used to be almost a 1.5 lane road when we were younger.
So this is a gift.
It is, it's huge.
yeah.
So somebody approve it before they change it.
Quick.
Wait, hurry up!
I move to authorize the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to repair a storm and erosion damaged portion of Cohen Road, TH number 52, subject to review and approval of the town road commissioner and/or road foreman of any proposed work plans.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, the Army Corps knows about it because he just texted me. All right, moving on to 9C, access permit 2024-01 and 2024-02, Rest Haven Road parcels 110028.001 and 110028.004.
So this is an access permit that we discussed at length.
A lot.
Yeah, it's really,
Cut to the chase, yes.
yeah, the way that we would approve this allows for us to develop an agreement and continue working on it. It just allows them to move forward with bringing in some equipment and getting some equipment out, and being able to use the road in the
They
meantime,
moved,
so.
they moved their entryway back onto the class 4 road. We were looking to reclassify all the way to the cemetery as class 4, that way they can maintain the whole road as class 4
Okay.
in the
That was
town.
the best
Until then, the
solution.
town will maintain the class 3 portion.
And we need to go through a process of reclassifying from class 3 to class 4 to the beginning of at least to the beginning of the cemetery.
Right, and I think
And
that,
that process is pretty unwieldy, it has to be a public hearing and all this other stuff.
it was sort of agreed by the town attorney that that was the best route through
Okay.
what this application was.
Well, his response also though had a lot about discontinuing the road, and I don't think we ought to discontinue it, we should just reclassify.
Right, I
Well, aren't
skipped
there
over that
properties
myself, not
higher
considering
up
that
it,
enough.
too?
Okay.
Yeah, there's other properties.
Yeah.
But they're already on class 4, so all this does is relieves us of the requirement to maintain a class 3 portion that we really can't maintain anyway.
Right, because it's because of the cemetery.
We have-
and
It's
the
too
concrete
narrow.
wall.
Plus,
Can't
we have
get
an
your truck in there.
we have an obligation to maintain it.
Right, and currently there's no turnaround, so we haven't done that little,
And the owners are agreeable with the same idea, and so everything.
So I'll work with the town attorney on doing the road reclassification, which again, it's just some hearings and a couple, I think there's a site visit you have to do. There's some old school statutory requirements.
I think it all makes sense if everybody agrees.
Yep.
What would anything like that be without a process?
Yeah. Move to approve access permit applications number 2024-01 and 2024-02 submitted by CML Stevens LLC on behalf of Christopher and Marissa Stevens and related to Rest Haven Road, Town Highway number 33, and authorizing the chair to sign the permits on behalf of the board, subject to all written requirements of the road foreman as specified in the access permits, and with the condition that the permittees shall not maintain either the Class 3 or Class 4 portions of the town highway unless a maintenance agreement approved by the select board is in place.
Second.
One thing you might want to mention, we may want to just be clear, maybe I could just be clear about it in the minutes, is that it is the original plan and not the revised plan, so that both are, or amend the motion so that both of them are within the on a Class 4 road, not on a Class 3.
Is there a date that differentiates the two plans or not?
Yes, it's,
I thought they were both the same date, like March 4 or
there
something.
was a revision date.
Yeah, they sent in the old plans again.
Okay.
So I could revise the motion to say, on behalf of Christopher and Marissa Stevens and related to the revision,
The most recent.
or reverting to the Class 4 section of Rest Haven Road, Town Highway number 33.
Could you send me a copy of this signed?
Sounds good. Did you finish the motion?
Okay, it's not signed.
I just corrected that one,
Yep.
unless you want me to read the whole thing again, I can.
No.
I
So,
second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
did that make sense, Shane?
I was kind of distracted, so
Okay.
I didn't get it, but we'll just go to the tape.
It will make sense.
Okay.
Alright, moving on to item 9D. Discuss purchase / rental of mobile communication radios. So, the radios they've had in their trucks basically don't work unless you can see the truck.
Say again?
They basically don't work unless you can see the other truck.
You're that close. Okay.
They've been working through their cell phones because the radios don't work. And the unfortunate part of that is that there's a few places where cell phones don't work either, so.
Right.
We've been dealing with the same issue with fire department. Radios.
What was your solution?
We're still working on it.
Oh,
Unfortunately, this solution doesn't work for you guys, from what Troy was saying.
Yeah.
It's digital or something.
Yeah, it's digital.
The two-way radios
Yeah.
don't work?
No, not for us.
It wouldn't work for the fire departments, but this is digital. And I know, I wasn't here for the meeting, I couldn't be here. But I know the guy walked outside, got on his radio and talked to a guy from New York, clear as day. So, they work pretty good.
well, and this is sort of a two-part necessity. One is to upgrade the ones that we currently have, but we also have a new truck coming. We have the backup. We have new equipment that doesn't have a radio at all. So it would be to include a radio in new equipment and to upgrade old equipment.
It seems like they're only talking about 2 units though, is that right? Or is it 4? There's a mobile radio and it says 2.
Well, I think these are for the new equipment then, if that's,
And they'll integrate with the existing?
No, they were talking,
This looks like
from what
it's,
I remember talking
this
to,
quote for 2 mobile radios to be installed.
into the international truck and backhoe. So that's for the new equipment.
but Josh was looking into doing it on all equipment when I talked to him. so I'm not sure about
I would
that.
say just make sure you're getting what you want, they need.
Well, and the other part of that is too, that I don't know if it would make sense if, you know, say you're in the new truck and somebody's in the old truck and they have
Right,
different
they
radios, it's
communicate,
not gonna
yeah,
work.
yeah.
So, I think that the proposal should be to either replace all
Right.
or this doesn't seem to represent that, though, you're right.
Maybe I'm misreading the quote.
No, I don't think you are.
Right.
I see clearly what you're saying, but I'm not just reading.
Yeah. I thought it did say it was for everything, but.
Well, and then you're talking about the CVC paging? Maybe one of the other ones.
Oh,
Is it
yeah,
different?
they're all the same though. It's all CVC.
What does David Chase use?
They're switching to these, I believe. They haven't
Excuse me?
switched yet, but from what Josh told me is they're looking into switching to the same thing.
Everybody can hear everything that they say. so
For, yeah,
it works.
everywhere. You can hear them everywhere.
Well, this too, you wouldn't hear everyone. This would be its
You
own.
have a dedicated channel?
Yeah, yeah. It wouldn't be like the fire where when they talk, it goes to everyone. But from what I do remember Josh saying too, just to replace, put in a new radio in one of those trucks, the radios we have that don't work, it's like $1,400. So there's no point in that. We'd have to ask him again because he was talking about switching everything out. So. He just wanted us to see this.
If you can text him right now and ask him if this is reflective of what he wants.
He's not asking for anything to be voted on tonight. He was just giving this as a heads up.
Oh. So it might be this or it might be double this, or not really, but it's like it's like a $355 per unit,
Well, and I mean,
or for a pair.
I guess what we should do is come up with a list of the equipment, because we've got grader, we'll have 4 trucks.
He figured, I know I talked to him, he figured the road mower probably doesn't need it. You don't really have a need to talk to someone in the road mower. And if you do, you can use your cell phone.
Well, and yeah, that might be
If
a
it
consideration.
rolls over, you're gonna wanna talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Well, we've given everybody a phone stipend as well, so, or not everybody, I guess, but the road crew, anyway. Which I don't know. I mean, in an emergency, it's nice to have options, I guess.
Yeah.
Just do handheld. Just do handheld with a tractor.
What's that?
Do a handheld radio.
Good.
You can in the tractor and then you can take it anywhere. You know?
Well, I wonder about that. If you had a handheld for each crew member, they can go into each piece
Right,
of equipment.
just follows
and not
them.
have to buy. I mean, we have less crew than we have equipment, so the handheld might be a better option in that regard.
So we can ask Josh to come back to us with something else.
And also maybe make sure that I don't know what this is, but it's the repeater cost. The repeater proposal, which is, and the rental plan? Anyway, maybe he should be here to discuss it.
So it's, one is the radio rental and one is the repeater service. It's separate.
Okay.
Has anybody reached out to Pete Smith about stuff like this? He is way into this.
I don't think Josh did talk to him. There's something else that came up that day when we were talking about this.
Just a thought.
Yep.
Yep. Well, as part of the discussion, it would be good to involve everybody we can that has any information. I know it's been an issue for the fire departments and rescue, and if anybody finds a decent solution, it should be.
I know Jeff Duda is working
Probably
on.
satellite radio.
I know Jeff Duda is working on a solution for it, so I'm trying to talk to him more about it, see where we're going with it.
Yep.
And I know Peter Cobb has been
And I know all the dispatchers.
passionate about it.
Yeah, we've all been trying to come
It's going
together.
to,
Yeah, they just replaced the repeater up at Stratton.
Yeah,
is
the new
dispatching
one.
going to Wyndham Sheriff's now?
we still have it going through Keene.
He's still going through Keene, not yet. Because it's all supposed to switch to the sheriff's.
Is this a tower issue? Does this boil down to being a tower issue?
It boils down to being Vermont where there's hills everywhere.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tower issue, right? Yeah.
Well, a lot of
Lack
people
thereof.
switch because they use their phone.
Yeah.
You have it on your phone.
We do, we have Zelle, we have Zelle, that's how we talk now.
Yeah.
Because we're in the middle of town and we get nothing.
Right.
You have what? And you do?
Like the flood last year, I was in the middle of town trying to talk to people, and I couldn't hardly get a hold of anybody. I had to use my phone.
Was it Watchdog or whatever?
So there's Spotted Dog, there's
Spotted
Zello,
Dog.
there's Rescue
Was that like a
Squad
hot
uses Zello.
spot, hot antenna?
It's literally like a handheld radio, but it's on your phone.
On your phone, yeah.
A lot of the EMS,
Oh,
EMTs
yeah,
run
yeah,
it.
yeah, yep. Mhm.
A lot of people don't even run pagers anymore, they just do it
It's
through their
just,
phone.
it's an app.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it seems to be
Well,
everywhere.
that connects, they have a whole mapping program too.
Jeff the station.
It might
we
be
want to talk about
a
that.
consideration to alienate the whole radio,
Eliminate or alienate?
alienate it to move to something more, I mean,
Yeah.
technology changes so
Yeah.
much that if that doesn't work ananymore,
The half-life,
like, just get rid of
yeah.
it. And if the cell phone thing works better, then maybe that's, you know, if we're already doing a stipend, or if we continued along that route, we're already spending that money.
And I think it's
Maybe
really
we-
important for the road crew people to also have communication in their trucks with fire departments to know what's going on. Hey, we're at a fire call and everything's a sheet of ice. Josh should be able to hear that. I don't want to
And-
worry about him getting a call
That's
and
a good
hear it over the
No,
radio.
that would be very helpful.
I know
Some of the
that other
situations we're
towns
stuck
do
in.
that.
Mhm.
The police department,
They're all integrated.
they're all together.
I think it makes tons of sense to have it be all the same for everybody, for sure.
There are
And I mean, if you're using your cell phone, that can be hands-free, and any modern equipment, you're gonna,
Does a dashboard in a new dump truck look like something in a Chevrolet with
some of-
hands-free?
I mean,
is it?
yeah.
I mean, so
is
if
it-
you have, at a minimum, a headset, but it could be integrated into
I've
the
not been in a
vehicle.
dump truck in a while.
Yeah, you can either have the headset or like some of the new bobtails we make, we have Bluetooth,
Right.
so we don't have to even touch our phones.
Right.
But just a good communicational skill for that road crew foreman to have is being able to communicate with the state police, the fire departments, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, they don't know what's going on.
Right.
Or they have to make separate accommodations to notify, which
Yep.
takes time.
Yep.
Well, luckily, one of our guys is on the Wyndham Fire Department, and the other guy is the assistant chief.
right, exactly.
South Londonderry.
Right.
All right, well, we'll have Josh come back with us with more information.
If you, I mean, if you go to the cell phone idea, just beware, you probably all know anyway, that there are dead spots in town, especially for AT&T.
No. Oh,
So it's not totally reliable.
mhm. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 10, old business. 10A is consider date of interviews for planning commissioners.
Are we talking about another meeting between now and our next one anyway? So,
Yeah, that's a special meeting no matter what for that one.
Yeah.
And I have one other thing I'd just like to throw out there. So up until 2017, we were a 5-member planning commission.
Can you speak up? I can't hear you.
Up until 2017, we were a 5-member planning commission. I don't see a disadvantage going back to a 5-member planning commission. I think 7 is just too many people talking in circles. Just throwing it out there. We need, the requirement is at least 3 and no more than 9. And you usually go with an odd number.
I would support the 5 idea.
I think you'd get more done, honestly.
Well, but if you had, I mean, here's the counter argument. If you let the to-be-determined planning commission decide if they feel that they've got all the representation they feel they need, that's great. But if they say, you know, we still need to have some level of expertise that we don't have with 5, have them come back to us and say,
All we do is,
I think we need to like bump it up to 7 or whatever. But
that's all it is.
I actually had that same thought recently that because this is a unique situation where we're appointing an entire board, appoint the minimum, allow them to make recommendations to fill the rest of the seats.
The minimum would be 3.
Right.
Is all you
Well, but
need.
let's, 5 seems,
I think 5 seems like
Five is
good.
good. Yeah.
with the option to go,
There's always the
another odd
option of
number.
going
Yeah,
up.
we can always amend it.
So you say, we hereby vote to reduce the size of the planning commission to 5 and appoint the following. And if they say we need more, then you just change that later on down the
Right.
line, like they did in
well, and-
2017.
and here was another suggestion, which is, no matter how many, whether it's 5 or 7, that we pick, I would recommend that we also screen for 2 alternates to have, so that if there is movement and people say, I can't, I can no longer fit this into my schedule and I have to bail, that there are 2 people who are already pre-screened. Now, whether or not they're still in town by the time they're called, but at least you've gone through the vetting process and whatever, so it's just a suggestion.
But there could also, say that's a year and a half, from that vetting, there could be new people who moved to town.
True. Yeah,
You still want to open, my view, you still want to
keep it
open it
open,
up,
yeah.
Yeah.
get the best people.
So what dates work for people?
Well, Tuesday is the primary, right?
Yeah, Tuesday doesn't not work
I'm
for me.
sort of constrained next week. Well, constrained this week.
Well, Esther says she needs a contract signed by the 13th.
I can do next Monday. I can do Friday. So I'm gonna be at camp for Wednesday and Thursday. So I could do Thursday and Friday this week.
Thursday, the 15th?
This week?
Yeah.
I can do Friday this week.
I
Well, you
can't.
said the 13th, that's Tuesday. next
Well,
week.
I'm just thinking, it's kind of,
Or I can do
the applicants may not, it's kind of
That is true.
soon.
Yeah. We
To
do have to-
give them a week would be
Yeah,
easier.
we do have to reach out to all.
How about the 15th, Thursday the 15th?
Has
Oh,
to
that's
be
too
before the
late.
13th, before well, unless we do a separate meeting for Esther is all. Her deadline was the 13th, so if we were gonna combine the 2, it should be Monday. If we were gonna just take care of hers quickly, we could do the planning commission after the 13th.
And honestly, take care of hers quickly. I can make it. We can get Jim, and all we need is one other person.
I can make it on the 12th if.
For the compactor question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's not even a compact question. That's just the contract with
Well, yes, I mean, it's
Well,
the contract with
waiver.
Casella, but yes.
But Monday doesn't work?
I have family from very far away, and
If we're just doing Esther's thing, that's only 3 people need to be here. We can get that done with. That's important.
Well,
So,
why don't you have 2
I
meetings?
could always run
Why don't we
down.
separate the 2 then?
If you need me, I could run down.
Well, I can make it here on Monday to do the Esther's.
I'm pretty sure we can roll Jim over here if we have to.
Yeah, I'm just,
Hold the
but
meeting over there.
the interviews is gonna take some time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
gonna.
that one's
I'm-
gonna.
I become free on the 15th.
I mean, what do we got? 9 people now?
We're
Junior.
up 1 and down 2, I think.
Yeah.
It's 9, yeah.
It's 9.
I can make it
At
on,
least 20 minutes a person.
I can make it
So
on
we're
16.
looking for a decent amount of time.
Is the 15th okay with people?
I'm gone on the 15th.
You're gone.
I can do the 16th. I don't know how that works for everybody, but
I can do the
Do you
16th
do
to the
daytime
14th.
on the 16th?
I can make it work if I just let my work know ahead of time.
Can anybody else do daytime?
I could, but
Well, some of the applicants,
yeah,
May not.
they're not
I
gonna.
mean,
be-
right.
maybe a late afternoon or so.
Yeah, I could do like 4 maybe.
Yeah, some people knock off on a Friday.
How about Wednesday afternoon, evening?
On the 14th?
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to do it this evening.
She's an applicant.
What's that?
She's an applicant.
You
She-
can't, okay, you can't make that one, okay, well, we'll make it
I'm
work.
gonna say we're gonna have to do this in the evening. There's no afternoon.
Okay.
One
that's
guy's a
fine.
farmer and 2 are contractors at
Not
least.
sure when yep, I could do evening, whenever.
I mean, 5 o'clock maybe, but probably not sooner.
On the 14th?
Yeah, I can do the
Jim
14th.
can't do the 15th.
I can do the 14th in the evening
Did you say you couldn't do the 14th, Barry?
or
I can't do the 13th or the 14th.
about the 16th.
16th.
Do we want to
we
do
can
2 nights? If we're
You
talking
could, and give your,
20
Give your
minutes
candidates
times
a
9
choice.
people,
Yeah.
9 people.
just have slots and say, here, pick one.
16.
14 and 16.
Yeah.
So maybe we just pick like 2 or 3 nights and see if we can fit everybody into those nights.
Do you do 14 or 15, Pat?
No, I'm in Dartmouth at 1 and 4:15, so the earliest I could get here would probably be 6
On which night?
on the 14th, and the 13th I have a meeting at 7.
But how about 14 and 15 as 2 choices?
The 14th, the 15th, I'm good.
I'm not here the 15th.
Yeah, you can't do the 15.
That was 14th at 6, you know, starting at 6, and
Yeah.
you would have
You
yours
could make
later on in
that.
the meeting. You know, bang it out for two hours, say.
Right.
You don't have to be there, again, don't have to be there at 6, but you may want to hear what other people have to
Yeah.
say, so.
Well, if we're gonna have one on the 12th anyway, why don't we do the 12th and the 14th?
14th.
Could you make the 12th?
The 12th, I'm good.
We already have one meeting scheduled for the 12th
Yeah,
anyway.
I probably can't make a long conversation that night. I could do a quick vote on a compactor, but not. I mean,
So if they were 15 minutes long, it would be roughly a 2.5 hour
each night. No,
meeting.
total.
Plus discussion.
Right.
So another 10, 15 minutes on top of that.
Yeah.
Well, if each applicant, if we had 15 minutes with the person and 5 for discussion,
Yeah,
so if you do the 20, then you're back to 20 minutes per
2
person.
hours.
Or do 10 and 5. I mean, I don't know how much vetting we need to do, but.
I guess depending on the individual, how much can you really say about yourself?
right,
It's
and
not
I,
gonna
you know,
take
and I
that-
hope
I
we
don't
have
think
some
it's gonna take
questions
that
too.
long.
I mean, I hope we take the time, for example, to look at Larry's memo to us, where he suggested questions. And I think maybe among all of us, we pick a question at least that we're gonna ask each candidate. That way you have some comparison. So,
With all due respect to Larry, if he wanted to stay in the planning commission process, he should not have resigned.
I think he's a concerned citizen, which is
He's
what
allowed to be a
he,
concerned citizen, but he's trying to,
okay,
he's trying
hang
to
on,
run the
hang on,
planning
hang on,
commission
you're
process.
you're mixing, right? So he sent a letter as a concerned citizen, and he had some very good suggestions about how you might vet your candidate, use that word. So I'm just saying, why don't we all take a moment, either in your own heart or in looking at Larry's suggestions or your own from other interview work that you've done, and just come up with a question or two that you're gonna ask consistently with each of the candidates, so that you think you're getting the right answer, you're getting an answer that you can then be comparing your candidates with. That's all. I don't care where you pick your questions from, that doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
No, I think consistency is good to be able to
Yeah,
compare.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But we still need to pick a date.
So, I mean, it's, if we do 20 minutes apiece, and that's that includes both
that-
the,
Can you pick that Thursday night? What, Wednesday night or Thursday night?
Thursday night doesn't work for him,
Yeah.
the 15th.
But you could do the 14th.
I could do the 14th.
Wednesday the 14th, and we do 2.5 hours, or just
it'd be 3 hours if we do
Yeah, we
20
can
I'm
minutes.
willing.
Yeah. Those are just the only 2 nights. It's Tuesday and Thursday because I got a fire meeting Tuesday.
And hopefully like
Everybody can
5
make
to
it.
8 or 6 to 9
Yep.
gives everybody a window of time enough to
Mhm.
come during that period of time.
And maybe we can get Casella to, you know, backdate the,
Right,
the,
right.
cons- the contract.
So we only do
I
one
mean, it's
meeting.
one day, it's doesn't mean anything.
No.
Right.
Alright, so tentatively we'll put it down for the 14th and send out an email to all all applicants and see and hope that might work.
What time are you gonna start? What time?
That really depends on the applicant's answers, honestly. I mean, until we put,
Do you want to
we
just
don't
pick
really
it?
know.
I mean,
Well, I don't think we can just pick it.
You want to say 6 o'clock, or you want to say 5, just to be more inclusive?
I mean, if we can start knocking them off at 5 o'clock, we can get 3 done before
Yeah.
6.
I don't even think we can commit to a meeting until we talk to the applicants. We don't know how many we're even gonna be able to say
Is this
that
gonna
day
be
works.
open to the public?
Should be.
Sure, yeah.
It's not a job interview, these are public officials.
It's almost like a candidate's night, honestly.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah, I think we gotta wait to see what the applicants can actually do before we set anything. We could send it out and half of them could say no. You can't, well, we know of one. who can't.
Yeah.
That's it.
Maybe we could,
It's more of one of those things where we can say, this is the date we would prefer, and see if they can all make it. And if
right.
they
The problem
can't,
is,
then we.
you may end up having somebody say, I can do this meeting, I can do this date, or whatever, so you just, at some point, you can just say, this is the date we're having the,
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, don't bend over.
Well, no, I'm not saying bend over, I'm saying this is the day we're looking for. You email them all, say this is the day we're hoping for, and hopefully
Yeah,
the
see what
majority or all
percent
of
you
them can
get.
make it.
See what percent, okay.
Well, what if they say no?
So I would
But
say-
there's a chance that not all of them can make it, or half of them can.
Yeah, if they're on vacation, what
There's
have you.
no way to know.
Yep.
We're gonna be,
Tentative.
at the town hall on the 13th, or some of us could be there anyway, the night before, counting ballots from after 7 PM too, just to say it. So
That's
it'll be
right.
two lengthy evening meetings or
6:17, okay.
time slots.
Yeah, just send out some emails and hopefully that day
Mhm.
works. If not, we will have to come up with a plan too.
Yep.
Did you want me to write that?
Yeah, that'd be great if you could. And moving on to 10B, ratify 7/15/2024 decision on commencement of enforcement of short-term rental fines.
I'm happy to move it. We talked about this with Andy, was it the last meeting?
Yep.
Yeah.
15.
So,
Yeah, so I move to ratify the board's 7/15/2024 decision to direct the short-term rental administrator to not issue fines for lack of registration of short-term rentals until October 1, 2024, and to approve the mailing of a reminder with the tax bills.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
And who's taking what?
Jim, you did it.
I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Shane.